If you've ever felt like your trading mistakes are not about strategy, but about your emotions, then this video on trader emotion will change how you see the markets forever. What you're about to hear is not just advice, it's the emotional truth of every serious trader. Stay till the end. The second part might just save your portfolio one day. Everyone talks about control, about knowing when to stop. They say, next time I'll stay calm. But as soon as the loss hits, your ego demands blood. You want to take one more trade, recover, and show the market who's boss. But the truth is, the market doesn't care who you are. It only cares about one thing. Did you follow your rules or not? Tom Hougaard himself says, discipline doesn't mean you never lose. It means you follow your rules, even when your heart is breaking, even when you're scared, even when you're in pain. Now ask yourself, you plan to exit at 2% loss, then why did you hold on till 5%? Because you weren't trading the chart, you were trading hope. And hope, my friend, is deadly. It shows you a beautiful lie and burns your portfolio to the ground. So let's be clear, this first point isn't about how to make money, it's about how to manage your mind. You don't win in trading with strategy, you win with restraint. Only those who can pause survive this game. Tom says, I'd rather take a small loss than lose control. You don't have to win every trade, but you must keep control in every trade. Now ask yourself again, will you be able to stop next time? When the chart lights up and your heart whispers, go now, this chance won't come again. Can you stay calm in that moment? Because this was just the first door. The real game is about to begin. Point number 2, the trade you never take. In the next part, we'll explore why not every trade is a good trade, and how Tom Hougaard learned that sometimes no trade is the best trade. That's right, sometimes the most profitable move is to do nothing. So stay tuned, because what you'll learn next might just flip your entire trading mindset. You'll say to yourself, no one ever told me this before. Let's talk about the second point. At first, it might sound simple, but once it clicks, you'll start valuing the trades you didn't take even more. Tom says, no trade is also a trade. It sounds strange, right? But this one line separates amateurs from professionals. In trading, everyone wants to do something every day. Place money, watch charts, take profits, or at least learn something. But this is where the big mistake happens. Because not every chart is a signal. Not every moment is money. Not every trade is the right trade. But the mind won't accept that. You think, let me just do something, man. The day feels wasted. Or worse, even if I lose, I'll at least learn something. Here's the truth. The market is not a school. You don't pay fees here. You lose money and the lesson comes too late. Tom says there were many days when he felt, I have to do something. But he learned the most profitable decision sometimes is doing absolutely nothing. Why? Because trading is a game of right timing. You're not supposed to swing at every ball. You wait for your ball, the one that matches your strength. If you're swinging at everything, you're not trading, you're gambling. In an interview, Tom was once asked, how many trades do you take in a day? He laughed and said, as many as the market allows. Sometimes one, sometimes none. Now think about that. A man who's made millions says no trade is also a decision, and yet we feel uncomfortable if we don't click something. Remember, it's not about trading every day. It's about staying in the right mindset every day. No trade isn't fear, it's discipline. Your friend might say, I took 3 trades today, and you're sitting there thinking, I didn't do anything. Well, he's attacking the market. You're building yourself. Because trading isn't about being busy. It's about being wise. Tom says, don't let the need to be active destroy your capital. You want to look active, or do you want to stay alive in this game? That's your choice. So remember, any trade outside your rules is not a trade. It's a trap. Any movement that tries to pull you in, take a pause, take a breath, because sometimes the most powerful trade is no trade.
You survived this time. But what will you do next time when the perfect trade is right in front of you, but the risk is high? When a golden opportunity appears, but your fear says, what if I miss it? So in this third point, we're diving into the most dangerous enemy in trading, fear, and how Tom Hougaard discovered that fear isn't a signal to stop, it's a signal to prepare. Breathe, because what you're about to hear isn't just trading advice, it can shift how you approach life. So let's talk about that emotion every trader hides, fear. Fear of losing, fear of missing out, fear of, what if it goes up and I'm not in it? Imagine you're looking at the chart, markets flying upward. You think, I should enter now. If I don't, I'll regret it. But fear whispers, wait, what if it's a trap? Now you're torn, caught in a tug of war between fear and greed. And in the end, your mind breaks. Tom is crystal clear on this. Fear is not your enemy. It's your internal alarm system. It's not there to stop you. It's there to wake you up. But most of us either run away from fear or get so stubborn that we fight it head-on, blindly. For example, you fear a loss, so you don't even set a stop loss. Why? Because you think if it's there, it might get triggered. But isn't that what it's meant to do? Tom admits, fear is natural in trading. But the real challenge is to understand what it's trying to tell you. Why are you afraid? Because you broke your rule? Because you're over-leveraged? Because you didn't plan the trade? Fear doesn't show up without a reason. It's a message. So next time fear shows up, don't suppress it. Listen to it. It might be telling you, don't trade your emotions, trade your system. Tom himself used to be a fearful trader. Even a small loss would shake him. Until one day, he asked himself, am I afraid of the market or of my own lack of preparation? And when he started training his mindset, fear stopped being the enemy. It became a signal. Now when fear shows up, he says, thank you, fear. You're showing me where I'm exposed. Imagine if you did that too. Instead of running from fear, you use it to strengthen your system. This is what the third point teaches us. Don't run from fear. Talk to it. Listen to it. It's not a monster. It's a siren of caution. And most importantly, fear never comes alone. It often brings a hidden opportunity. Point number 4. Overconfidence, the hidden killer. Now let's talk about the next point. Where fear ends, overconfidence begins. Tom paid the price for this one. You see, the trade was perfect. The strategy was solid. And yet, he lost. Why? Because his mind said, now I'm a master. You win 2 trades, get some profit, and suddenly that voice inside says, you figured it out. You're a pro now. Your hand's not on the mouse anymore, it's wearing a crown. You start thinking, I control this market. Even if I lose, I'll recover. And that is where destruction begins. Tom is crystal clear on this. After success, the mind becomes your enemy. He's seen it happen to himself. He'd be making consistent profits. Then his focus would drift away from the system and toward that Superman feeling. Rules start bending. Risks start creeping. Until one day, you're in a trade so big that not just your money, but your ego is on the line. At that point, you're no longer in the system. You're living in a fantasy. Think about it. A trader who built his life around discipline, even he fell for overconfidence because it's a slow virus and it feels like sweet nectar. Tom says, the biggest lie is when you start thinking, I can't be wrong anymore. And that's when the fall begins. Not suddenly, but silently from inside. Overconfidence wears the face of victory, but drags you into deep losses. You think, I've caught the trend. Then the market slams you down. And you ask, where did I go wrong? The answer is brutal. You started thinking you were God. In one interview, Tom said, winning is dangerous because it makes you forget why you were winning. You were winning because of your rules, because of your discipline, because you waited for your signal. But once you start thinking, I am the signal, you stop being a trader and start being delusional. So what's the cure for overconfidence? Awareness. After every profit, ask yourself, have I lost my grounding? If the answer is yes, pause and remind yourself of your past losses. Most importantly, when you're winning, tighten your seatbelt even harder. Because when the car is flying, that's when the crash hits the hardest. So make a vow. After every win, you'll reset to zero, back to beginner's mindset. No ego, no show-off, just system. This fourth point teaches us, just as it's important to stay calm after a loss, it's even more important to stay humble after a win. Because the market breaks everyone's ego. It's just a matter of time. Point number 5. You don't trade the chart, you trade your mind. Now you're thinking, all right, I've controlled my ego, I've understood fear, I've even learned the value of no trade. But despite all that, you're still making bad trades. Then my friend, it's time to reprogram your mind. Because point 5 reveals the deepest truth yet. Your enemy isn't the market. It's not the news. It's not your broker. Your biggest enemy is your own thinking. Tom says, you don't trade the market. You trade your beliefs about the market. That means you're not pressing buttons based on charts. You're pressing buttons based on old pain, past losses, hope, and emotion. Now ask yourself honestly, were you really reading the chart, or were you chasing revenge from a previous trade? Were you following your rules or just seeing what you wanted to see? Tom said something brilliant here, and we'll continue that in the next part.
Most people don't need a new strategy. They need a new psychology. Bruh, strategies are scattered everywhere from YouTube to courses. But mindset? No one gives that. And the truth is, if your mind is filled with junk, even the best strategy in the world will ruin you. Now think, how many times has this happened? You said to yourself, that's it, I finally learned. And then, same old mistake. Why? Because your mind is programmed to give emotional reactions, not logical decisions. Tom says when he understood that the real war isn't on the chart, but in the mind, he started mind reconditioning before trading. He trained his brain, how to stay calm, how to stay disciplined, how to accept a loss as a loss and move on. Now, the question is, can we also change our minds? Absolutely. But first, you must accept your truth. You don't lose every trade because the system is flawed. You lose because your mind isn't ready to take consistent action. Trying a new strategy every time doesn't mean you're learning. It means you're running away from your own thinking. Tom says, don't chase the perfect strategy. Train your mind to follow the one you already have. So what should you do? Every day before trading, do just one thing. Mind reset. Ask yourself 3 questions. Am I here today to take revenge for an old loss? Am I just trying to look active today? Am I okay with ending the day without making a trade? If the answer is not yes to all, don't touch the mouse that day, because then you're not trading the chart, you're trading against your ego. Trading is not a skill, it's mental engineering. Unless you clean and reprogram your mind daily, you'll never be able to follow the system. Tom says, most people lose not because of the market, but because they never trained their mind to obey. So friends, now you understand what is discipline, what does fear do, how does overconfidence ruin you, and how your mind misleads you. Now, the next question is, even if you set your mind right, is it easy to stay disciplined every single day? The next point dives into that fire, the fire where every trader burns. Consistency isn't a one-day job, it's a daily battle, because the one who can follow the rules every day is the one who becomes a real trader. So far, you've learned how to handle fear, how to avoid overconfidence, and how to reprogram your mind. But the real question is, can you do all this every day? Because being disciplined for a day is easy, but sticking to discipline daily, that's where real trading begins. Tom Hougaard says, consistency is not an action, it's an identity. If you don't follow your rules every day, you're not a trader, you're a trading tourist. One day is discipline, next day is feelings, then the system, and the next day, let's try something new. That's not how a trading life is built. Now suppose you've learned an amazing strategy. You control your mind. Day 1, profit. Day 2, still strong. But on day 3, the market changes a bit. You break your rules. Why? Because your mood changed. Bruh, if your system depends on your mood, then the market will leave you in a bad mood every time. The real definition of consistency is when everything changes, you still do exactly what you promised yourself. Tom says, discipline is easy when you're motivated. Consistency is when you do it without motivation. Now imagine, your friend wins 4 trades one day, loses 5 the next, and then he says, market wasn't in the mood today. No, bruh, the market is always in the mood. Your mind is moody. Tom shared in an interview he followed the same system for years, didn't add or remove anything, just showed up and followed it every day. And the result? Explosive returns. Not because of magic, but because of boring consistency. Yes, boring. Consistency is never glamorous. It's like eating the same food every day, but that food keeps you healthy. Just like the same system, same rules, and same mindset take you from market swings to stable profits. Now, ask yourself, can you be boring enough to follow the same trading routine every day, profit or loss? Can you become that trader who has learned to repeat themselves? Because the one who can repeat himself can extract results from the market. Point 6 doesn't ask you what new to learn. It asks you, can you follow what you've already learned every day? Tom says, consistency is a habit. Make it boring and you'll become dangerous. Now think, you've set your mindset, understood discipline, found your flow, but still every day you're trading differently. Then what are you doing? You're just acting like you're trading, not actually trading. So next time you look for a new tip or setup, ask yourself, can I stick to what I already have for 100 days? If the answer is yes, congratulations. You're no longer a trader. You've become a trading monk. Now the next question, even if you're consistently following the system, you're disciplined, you're making profits, but why do losses still happen sometimes? That's the next real door. Point 7 reveals how Tom Hougaard learned not all losses are bad. Some losses are necessary to learn and test yourself. So in the next point, you'll change how you look at losses. Friends, we've already discussed mindset, fear, overconfidence, and consistency. Now comes the truth every trader tries to hide, but no one can escape. Losses. Yes, the same losses that shake your soul. The same ones that make people quit trading or blame themselves.
But today I'll give you a new perspective, maybe one you've never heard. Tom Hougaard says, not all losses are bad. Some are necessary tuition fees. Meaning, every loss isn't destruction. Some are the price of learning. Now imagine you had a loss in a trade. Your ego is bruised, you're angry, your confidence is shaken, and what's the first thought? Maybe my strategy is wrong. Maybe it's bad timing. Maybe I'm not meant for trading. Bruh, such quick judgment? Tom lost like this for years, but he noticed something. Every loss taught him something. Sometimes he learned he entered too early. Sometimes he set the stop loss based on emotion, not system. Sometimes he got greedy after a little profit. Each loss came with a personal message. Now the question is, do you listen to that message or just curse and take the next trade? Tom says, loss is only permanent if you don't learn from it. If you don't learn, the loss is useless. But if you stop, think, reflect, and learn, then it wasn't a loss, it was a lesson. Now think carefully. If you never lost in the market, would you ever change? No, because winning teaches you nothing. It flatters you. Losses show your truth, your real mindset, your patience, your reactions. Everything gets exposed. Tom once said, the biggest change in my trading didn't come after a win. It came after a painful, humiliating loss. Real growth begins when you don't break after a loss, you rebuild yourself. So the question is, which losses are necessary and which are foolish? Necessary losses are those where you followed your system, but the market still went against you because of its own nature. You didn't break rules. Don't fear such losses. Foolish losses are those taken out of emotion, FOMO, revenge, without thinking. And then you say, market betrayed me. No, bruh, you betrayed yourself. Tom says, random losses don't destroy traders. Repeated emotional losses do. So this 7-point teaches you, after every loss, ask yourself, did I follow my rules? Was I acting on emotion? Can this loss teach me something? If yes, smile and take out your notebook, because that loss will save you tomorrow. If no, slap yourself, but don't repeat that mistake again. Every loss is a direction, either to learning or to destruction. Now think, you've understood fear, adopted discipline, locked in consistency, and made peace with losses. Can you now catch trends, or will you still rush in? That's the next point. Point 8 is about the secret of patience and timing that fooled even Tom Hougaard many times, but eventually taught him that trading isn't about speed, but the right timing.
You think, this is it, the breakout is coming, and you jump in, but the market stalls, and you're stuck. Tom Hougaard says, patience is a position too. Even when you're not trading, you're still in a position, the position of patience. And the biggest problem? Most trading systems have zero rules for timing. The only rule is, enter when you feel like it, exit when you're scared. But that's not trading, that's emotional gambling. Tom learned that correct entry timing isn't just about technicals, it's about mind control. If you enter the moment a setup appears, you're being impulsive. If you hesitate because of fear, you're falling behind. A true trader can count their breath before entering. They wait not for the breakout, but for confirmation. Because sometimes a missed trade is protection from a trap. Tom once said, timing isn't technical, it's emotional. You often know when to enter, but impatience, fear of missing out won't let you wait those 10 extra minutes. So you either enter too early or too late and miss the real move. That's why this 8th point teaches us, timing comes from discipline and patience keeps you safe. To beat the market, you first have to beat yourself. If you can learn to pause just 10 minutes, your results can improve 10x. Ask yourself honestly, have you ever placed a trade just because you were bored? If yes, you're not trading, you're being played by the market. So now that you've learned patience and timing, are you a pro trader? Not yet.
The next stage is maximum clarity, seeing the truth without filters. And in point 9, we learn what Tom Hougaard calls the courage to face the truth. It's about accepting that your best trades may still be ahead of you. By now you've learned about patience, timing, consistency, and dealing with loss. But this next part is the hardest. Clarity means being brutally honest. Where are your real mistakes? What's your deepest fear? And how much are you lying to yourself? Tom says, the hardest thing in trading is to look in the mirror and admit, I am the problem. Sounds simple, but try saying it when your loss is fresh. It's easy to blame the market, fake out. Easy to blame slippage, the broker messed up. Easy to say, my internet was slow. But the truth? Your mindset was slow. Tom teaches you can't become a professional trader until you take full responsibility. A pro isn't someone who wins every time. A pro is someone who owns every mistake. Now, think. When you took a dumb trade, did you sit down afterward and say, that was my fault, I need to change? Or did you just jump into the next trade hoping it works out? Tom says, clarity begins where excuses end. You need to study your trades, your exits, your reactions. Journal your emotions, not just your charts, because often it's not the market, it's your thoughts that lose the trade. Clarity also means admitting you're not a full pro yet, and that's okay. Tom says the trader who believes he's already great stops growing. But the humble learner, that person is dangerous because they can see their own weaknesses. Ask yourself, have you written down all your trading rules? Do you keep screenshots of your losses? Have you ever said, without excuse, that was my mistake? If not, you're trading blind. Without clarity, you're driving a car with fogging windows. So next time you think maybe, stop. Because clarity doesn't come from guessing, it comes from confidence. Now that you've cleared your mindset, can you trust your trades fully? That's exactly what point 10 is about. Conviction versus hope. How do you know you're trading with confidence, not just clinging to hope? This is the final test of a real trader, where every button you click is a test of your discipline or your desperation. Tom Hougaard says, most traders don't trade a plan, they trade a prayer. You felt it. You take a trade. The chart's unclear. The rules aren't really met, but you enter anyway. And then you're just sitting there praying, please let it go up. Just don't hit stop loss. Just hold a little longer. That's not trading on a plan. That's hope mode. And Tom says it clearly, hope has no place in trading. Only data and discipline do. So, what is conviction? Conviction means you took the trade based on your setup, your plan, your risk strategy. And now, win or lose, you feel calm. Why? Because your decision wasn't emotional, it was systematic. Now imagine this. You go long, the market dips, and suddenly you're not looking at the chart, you're looking at the sky. God, please just recover. That's not trading, that's emotional donation. Tom says conviction comes from preparation, hope comes from fear. If you've planned your entry, your stop loss, your target, then you trade with conviction. But if you trade because you're scared to miss out, you're in hope mode. And hope trades follow no rules, no respect for a stop loss, and give you zero peace of mind. They just drain your account slowly and painfully. Tom says hope traders blame the market, conviction traders fix their process. So ask yourself, out of your last 10 trades, how many were taken on hope? If the answer is more than 3, you're not really trading. You're living in a fantasy called one day I'll hit it big. So before every trade, ask, is this aligned with my system? Can I accept this loss without emotion? Am I fully prepared to exit if rules are broken? If all answers are yes, that's conviction. If not, you're just hoping. And in trading, hope is the riskiest position of all. So what's the final lesson of this journey?
A true trader is someone who's ready to change every single day, without ego, without excuses. These 10 insights from Tom Hougaard aren't just rules, they are principles for a trading life. If you only listened, it's motivation. If you take action, it becomes transformation. So now, the choice is yours. Will you just bookmark this video? Or will you burn it into your brain and walk into your next trade with a whole new mindset? Because before you can win your next big trade, you have to win over yourself. You've prepared your mind. Now get ready for a system that brings out the legend within you. And hey, I shared the deepest truths, opened up the hardest realities, and gave you everything I could. So now, it's your turn. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe to stay connected with Trader Emotion. Drop a comment with your biggest insight. And don't forget to share this with someone who needs it. Because the ones who learn, grow. And the ones who share, become legends. See you in the next explosive episode. Until then, stay sharp, stay patient, stay powerful.